Go Red for women.
And go Red for you.
Local 3 News. Coverage you can count on.
It is never an easy conversation to talk about end-of-life care, but if you ask anyone who has gone through it, having a hospice organization hold their hand in those precious last moments, they will tell you that often they wish they had had the conversation sooner. Kelsey Payne hears that quite often. She is with Avalon Hospice here in Chattanooga. Good to talk to you this morning.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It is a very, very difficult thing. I guess we all kind of live in denial, especially when you're the family preparing to say goodbye to someone you love. But am I right that it is often the common refrain is, I wish we had done this sooner?
Yes, absolutely. I definitely don't think that most families are aware of the benefit of hospice and receiving that care earlier. For sure.
There are also a lot of options to choose from. I think when families have this idea presented, they are kind of surprised that they have this roster of choices. So when they're contacting you at Avalon, what makes you stand out?
I think that we have a very family feel. Our patients and our families, they're a part of our family. And I think our nurses, health aides, administrators, family services team, I think we make people feel that they're important to us, they're a part of our family, and I think that helps us to stand out a little bit.
I know you want to talk about the volunteer program that you have. Before we go down that road, are there some misconceptions that people have, Kelsey, that once, quote, hospice is called in, that means that you're really running out of time?
Yeah, I think that a common thought with hospice is when you're admitted that the loved one is going to die in the next couple of days, that they don't have much quality of life left. And the whole mission behind hospice is to provide quality life that we have left, to be able to spend that time with our loved ones. And, you know, sometimes we'll have patients that are with us for a year or two. And once they're on service, they're able to get that care and manage their symptoms and spend that quality time with their family. So it's definitely not something where you're admitted and then your loved one is gone in a few days. They can be with us for a while.
So to the volunteer side of things, you said some of the volunteers are very skilled towards working with the patient directly. Others are uncomfortable with that. So do volunteer opportunities exist to work with the families and support them too?
Yeah, absolutely. So direct care volunteers can go into homes, visit with patients, visit with family members, caregivers. They can provide light household duties. They can run errands. They can be there just to spend time with the caregiver, especially with everything being shut down for so long due to COVID. A lot of these caregivers are really tired and lonely and burnt out. And so having someone to come in and spend time with them is just as important as spending time with the patient themselves.
Does it work like anything where it's a kind of a la carte in a way that depending on the level of need the family feels they want, they can have someone come in as often or as infrequently as they choose?
Yeah, so when a volunteer comes on board, I'm very grateful for their time and for their willingness to help these families. So they're welcome to volunteer as much or as little as they want. Once they're paired with a family, they can decide how much or as little they want them to come and visit. If they would prefer them just to call them every now and then, just have a phone conversation. It's very much an individualized plan of care when it comes to volunteers, so they can really decide what is the best for them.
What are you looking for in a volunteer? I'm sure they must all have this common thread of empathy.
I'm pretty open, just somebody that has the heart to serve families in this time of need. Even if you have a hobby or a skill or something that you're interested in, that can be utilized in so many different ways. People that like to talk, people that just want to sit and visit. I mean, it's very open. If you have the heart to be there for families during end of life, you're welcome. I mean, anybody and everybody is welcome.
I I marvel that you're called to do this, because it is a calling. It's a gift that the people who work in this industry were given, like any other gift, to know how to navigate these waters that are tricky for most of us. I know that you also work a lot once the loved one has died with the bereavement process for people. Those support groups, I guess, are pretty long lasting, right?
Yeah, so once the loved one does pass, as the bereavement coordinator, I kind of take over from there. And so I will follow families for 13 months after their loved one has passed. And so I do that through phone calls, support groups, letters. I have outside resources that I can provide if it's not something that I can fully help them with. And again, that's also something that's very individualized. When their loved one passes, I usually reach out, within 3 to 4 weeks, just to give them some time to start that initial grieving process. And I come up with a plan of care with the loved one that's best for them. So some people I visit with in person. Some people I talk to on the phone every 3 months. Some people don't want to talk, and I just send letters. So it's very individualized, but we do keep up with them through all of the first. So for 13 months after, we stay with them.
And this might be one of those ways where COVID and this virtual world we've all gotten accustomed to could prove a blessing in the end in some ways, because if you lose a loved one here in Chattanooga and there's a daughter who lives in North Carolina, are you able now to kind of help the family with some group Zoom talks and that type of thing now?
Yeah, absolutely. That's things that we can provide. There's also a lot of really great grief resources that have come up through the whole COVID thing that are all virtual. So there's websites where there's virtual support groups and chats and different books and all kinds of resources that are available for free for the most part. So there's all kinds of ways to have that virtual support and still feel like the entire family is being taken care of.
So if people are hearing you and they're thinking, okay, it's about time I get involved, I think I want to volunteer, would they just simply call you and have a conversation?
Yeah. So they can call, have a conversation. The next steps would be to just fill out some paperwork. We do provide a lot of training for our volunteers because we understand that end-of-life care can be very scary. And we know that. And so we provide as much education and information as possible to understand, what diseases they may see, different signs of decline. We train them in bereavement and grief. And so we do a whole lengthy kind of training process so that our volunteers are prepared for anything and everything that they might see or experience.
All right, so the phone number that we're going to share with you is the one you can call for those volunteer opportunities, but also if you are looking for some hospice care for someone in your family or perhaps a neighbor who could use a helping hand, they would love to hear from you. Their phone number is 892-3737. You will find Kelsey at their Lee Highway office. You can also learn more by going on their website, avalonhospicecare.us. Kelsey, thank you.
Thank you so much.
James, your car was pulling to the right, and you came to Budget Break seeking alignment. What happened?
They fixed it for the best price in town.
His path was crooked, and now he is aligned.
Budget Breaks. Alignment starting at just $59.99.
Alignment!
Woo! Papa John's just took their fresh, never frozen dough and hand stretched it New York style. So you can fold it. Or not. But I ain't gonna lie though, I fold it.
Hey, why don't you try these? This shape will highlight your cheekbones.
And the color suits you beautifully.
Caring for your eyes is as important as ever, and it's never been easier. Schedule your eye exam at pearlvision.com.